Meanwhile, the UN is warning of widespread famine in Gaza, with 1 in 4 people facing starvation as food deliveries struggle to get through. The majority of aid trucks cross through Rafah on Egypt's border with Gaza, but heavy bombardment is hampering efforts. Following US pressure, Israel opened the former goods crossing at Kerem Shalom, as well as an inspection station at Nitzana. Both have been blocked by Israeli protests. DW's Rebecca Ritters reports now from the port city of Ashdod.
This port should be processing much-needed food donations for Gaza, but it's not. The Israeli government is in a battle with UNRWA, the agency tasked with distributing the aid, and has blocked its passage.
Shipping containers of rice, flour, chickpeas and even cooking oil, enough to feed more than 1 million people for about a month, are stuck here in the port city of Ashdod, less than 70 kilometres from Rafah, and the people who so desperately need it.
These people are making it even harder for aid to get through. The group of Israeli protesters are at the Nitzana border crossing with Egypt, trying to stop the trucks that are brought here for Israeli inspection. French-Israeli Rachel Tuitu was among one of the first to take action. She helped form a group called Sav 9 and says its support is growing.
We started up a month ago. We were 50 people protesting. Now we are on our greatest day, we were 400, and it's been only 5 weeks.
They cite Israeli media reports that suggest a majority of the aid that makes it into Gaza is diverted by Hamas as the reason their movement began.
We are basically blocking the humanitarian aid, what I call the inhumanitarian aid, that goes into Gaza and falls into the hands of Hamas. The convoys include food, but it also includes fuel. The fuel is what is very problematic for Israel. We're fighting Hamas, and on the second hand, we are giving him the fuel to continue to fight us, to alimент the tunnels, the terror tunnels, the aeration system, and the electricity.
In a statement to DW, UNRWA says there's no evidence of systemic diversion of aid in Gaza by Hamas or any other armed groups. Sav 9 claims to represent a cross-section of Israeli society, but most people at this protest wore distinct clothing of far-right and religious activists. Though surveys suggest blocking aid is a majority opinion. With international pressure on the government to allow aid in, these protesters say they're doing what the government can't.
Everybody here in Israel is mourning the losses that we've had to endure in Gaza, and on the second hand, our government is giving in to international pressure and is giving out the humanitarian aid to our enemy.
Their attempts have proved successful, not in completely preventing aid transfer, but certainly hampering its flow.
Somewhere between 100 and 200 trucks full of aid are supposed to come through here, get processed by the Israeli authorities before heading back up to Rafah and crossing into Gaza. We haven't seen any be processed today. None have come through. The protesters say, though their numbers are small, it's because of them that the crossing has been closed.
A good day for the protesters, who say they'll keep up their civil disobedience for as long as it takes. While they protest, the situation for civilians in Gaza gets more desperate by the day.
Let's look at some of those points with Hiba Tibi, who leads the NGO CARE in the Palestinian territories. She joins us from Ramallah in the West Bank. Welcome to DW. We've now seen multiple hospitals being hit by Israeli raids. Where are civilians in Gaza now able to receive medical attention?
Good morning, dear. Unfortunately, the situation in general is very dire, and when it comes to the medical system, it's even more and more becoming more and more difficult. Since months now, we are explaining that the situation is bad. The very last few hospitals are being unfortunately affected. Medical teams are affected. We at CARE try to do the mobile clinics, what we call as mobile clinics. So it's a tent where you are receiving people who are in need of medical support, similar to other actors. But this is not enough. It's very, very limited services that we can provide. And the number of those who have amputed parts is the biggest number that we have seen ever in Gaza. It never happened before. This is basically because of being unable to provide the medical services that they require in normal days.
So now we appear to have a deadline for a raid on Rafah. That appears to be less than 3 weeks away. What effect would an Israeli raid have on an overcrowded city like Rafah?
I'm afraid of even imagining what this would look like on reality. We have seen what happened in the north, in the center, and the problem is that this is the most crowded area ever we have seen over the last months. And the potential impact, we have seen it before. We expect it to be much, much bigger because literally people are staying in the streets. There are no places for them to be taking or seeking refuge in the city. It's a big chaotic situation in the south, specifically in Rafah. It's, as my colleague described it, it's a live nightmare that they live in reality, but it's a constant nightmare. And this is what people are saying. We are very afraid of that because there are no places to go to. Even Rafah is not suitable as a shelter place in its current specific moment. It's not suitable. Imagine what can happen if if the military actions, the invasion takes place in 3 weeks. This is going to be very scary.
Rafah is also where aid crosses into Gaza. Is enough of that reaching civilians at the moment?
No, it's not even close. Not even close to be enough. It's very limited. Now we are hearing about people from the north. Of course, we don't have staff there, but some of our partners, even our partners, most of them moved to the south. But the very limited number who are staying there to provide medical support, of course, again, not enough for the people. They are saying that there is nothing to eat. If they find any kind of food, it's extremely expensive and people don't have money. If you are lucky even to find, let's say, a sack of flour, it will be mixed with other things that they discover that it is not proper for eating
Right.
when they start baking it. So unfortunately, this is the situation, my dear. It's not enough.
We thank you for your time and wish you well. Hiba Tibi from the NGO CARE. Thank you.
Thank you.